Hello.
We have filtration,
Okay.
Reabsorption,
We have what?
reabsorption,
Okay. Then the other one,
excretion,
excretion. Then the other one,
secretion,
secretion. Then the last one, the last one is excretion. So now I want you to get it in a simpler way. I want you people to understand it. Okay. Now let's look at this structure. I mentioned to say that blood supply to the kidney uh, from the interlobar artery, interlobar veins, then going. Then it's from the interlobar artery where the afferent arteriole separates, then it goes into the glomerulus capsule. Then here, it does not directly connect with the nephron tube, but it gets out, then this we call it the efferent arteriole. Okay. So it being the efferent arteriole, it does not go anywhere, but it surrounds the tube, the nephron tube, surrounding it for some reason. Okay. So I want you to look at the structure. So we have the glomerulus capsule, then we have this tube which is running. The first one we call it proximal convoluted tube because of its being in the zigzag, right? That's why it's called convoluted tube. Then we have the loop of Henry. Okay. So this is the loop of Henry that comes down here. Then the one which is on top at the end here, we call it the distal convoluted tube. Okay. Then we have the collecting duct. Now, how do these processes occur? So when we talk about reabsorption, we are strictly filtration. We are talking to the fact that since there is no direct connection between these glomerulus capsule we are seeing here, there is no direct connection. So they just diffuse. So that is more like filtration. They get filtered, then they go into the nephron tube. Okay. Then here, as this substance enters the nephron tube, there are some important ions like sodium, which also get in the tube. Okay. It's important that they remain in the bloodstream. Now, the body will absorb them again, get them, and send them into the peritubular capillaries. These same capillaries, which more like covers it so that it can go back into the bloodstream. Okay. Then from there, then the body again realizes to say that we left some toxins in the circulation. How are we going to get rid of them? Through the process of secretion, those toxins return into this comes back into the nephron tube, the nephron tube, not the vascular component, but the nephron tube, this corrugated one. Then finally the excretion happens in the collecting duct. Everything now, whatever remains, whatever is not absorbed, it more like get expelled out of the system. Have we understood what it's all about? Have we understood what it's all about?
yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So, so the four major processes of urine formation I was mentioning is one, glomerular filtration, then two, tubular reabsorption, then three, tubular secretion, then excretion. So I've put a key here to say that this process, which is in green, is the only process that allow essential important nutrients to go back into the system. Okay. Then the black ones, they need to go back into the nephron tube. They need to be expelled. So glomerular filtration, the aim is that so that substance can be expelled. Even tubular secretion, the aim is that substance can be expelled. Even excretion. But it's only this green, which the what's the process which is tubular absorption. It wants the substance to get back into the bloodstream because they are important. Now let's look at process by process. Once you mention these processes under urine formation, you already have 5 marks here. Then you start now explaining one by one in case they tell you. Okay. So everything that I was explaining is can also be seen here. The efferent arterial, then the peritubular ones. Okay. But I want to go into this. So what is all about glomerular filtration? I said it plays a critical process that occurs in the glomerulus, a specialized capillary bed within the nephron. The glomerulus is composed of three filtration membrane, which helps it to filter the substance from blood to go into the tube. So if you mention these three filtration membrane on the glomerular filtration, you already have marks. So at this point, you already have marks. If you say that it's the first process and it is composed of three filtration membranes, which is the fenestrated endothelium, the glomerular, then the basement membrane, the glomerular basement membrane, and the podocytes. These three ones, once you mention these, you are earning marks. Now, we need to explain what is a fenestrated endothelium, what's the glomerular basement membrane, and what are podocytes. So the fenestrated endothelium has pores that allow for the passage of small molecules, while the glomerular basement membrane acts as a selective filter. Okay, so it acts as a selective filter, restricting large molecules. Then podocytes are foot process with narrow slits that allow for the passage of small molecules. These are all marks once we are explaining this. Now, we need to look at what substances cross this same filtration membrane. What substances exactly? So, during glomerular filtration, water, these are substances that cross, water and some ions like sodium, potassium, and chloride, glucose, amino acid, and waste products like urea and creatinine are filtered out of the blood and into the Bowman's caps. They are moving more like they are being filtrated from the blood system going into the Bowman's caps, which is the nephron tube. Once you mention these substances which have been filtered out, you are already earning marks. Now, how is it possible that they get filtered? How do they enter the Bowman's caps? Okay, what really happens, we have what we call hydrostatic pressure. It is pressure built within this system that help or enable them to go into the what is the Bowman's caps. So we have three pressures. If you mention these three pressures, we have the glomerular hydrostatic pressure. So this is a pushing pressure. It pushes substance from the blood circulation into the glomerular circulation, glomerular caps, the Bowman's caps. So I want you to note that I've put this glomerular hydrostatic pressure in green. So you should know that it is the only pressure that allows filtrates to enter the Bowman's caps. While the rest are in purple, they oppose these substances to pass. Why are they doing that? This is because if at all this pressure is pushing these substances to go and there is no opposing pressure, most of the substance can enter the what is the Bowman's capsule. Then we are going to excrete a lot of substances. So this pressure is a balancing pressure. So when we add them, the pushing pressure is 60. Then what is opposing is about 16 and 34. 16 and 34, you find that our net pressure is going to be 10. This 10 net pressure is going to, this 10 net pressure is the one which is going to make sure that these substances get from the bloodstream going into the Bowman's capsule. So these pressures have been demonstrated here. We have this one, bigger one. Okay. It's the glomerular hydrostatic pressure. Then these two, they are opposing pressures that I've stated. But since there is a net pressure of 10, it allows this is a net filtration pressure, then it allows substances to move from the bloodstream here going into this tube. Are we clear so far? Are we clear here?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Okay. So people are still having issues with joining the class. I don't know why, but I thought I was admitting people. So you understand what glomerular filtration is all about? So that is simple when they tell, this is a simple question when they tell you in an exam what to explain the urine formation. Just mention those four and start explaining one by one. Okay. Then we are going to tubular absorption. Tubular absorption, I mentioned to say that this is the only process that wants some important substance to return into the bloodstream because they are still important in as much as they passed because they are small, but they are not supposed to be excreted. They are not supposed to be urinated. Okay. So what happens is that from the tube, the nephron tube, they move back into the circulation using the peritubular arteries, capillaries, which surround the nephron tube, the ones I was explaining. So the tubular absorption is a critical process that occurs in the renal tube, where useful substances, get the point there, useful substances such as glucose, amino acids, um, sodium, potassium, get back into the bloodstream. Okay, are we together? Are we together?
yes, we are.
Okay. So these important substances, they are still important in the bloodstream. They need to get back. So they are supposed to be absorbed back into the bloodstream via the peritubular capillaries surrounding the nephron tube. The ones I was explaining, I've been mentioning for the past days. You know, these are surrounding they have important function. This is the function. Then this process is essential for conserving essential nutrients and maintaining proper electrolyte balance. Now you need to know the reabsorption in each and every region. Okay. But in an exam, don't stress too much. When you have forgotten about other regions, just mention what is all about the absorption. Then when you give this necessary information, you'll get 10 out of 10. So there is proximal convoluted tube, the first tube. We have loop of Henry. Then we have the ascending and the descending, of course. Then we have the distal convoluted tube. Then lastly, we have the collecting duct. So what happens in the proximal convoluted tube? We just want to know what ions get absorbed in this region. So ions like sodium, chloride, potassium, water, and bicarbonate are actively pumped out of the cell into the interstitial space by sodium ATPase pump. This is just know the ion and how they get back. Okay. So I've written and the percentage of how some substances get reabsorbed back into the system. So a lot of water in the proximal convoluted tube get reabsorbed back into the system, and along with almost 100% of glucose. Glucose need to be reabsorbed back in the system. Otherwise, if you have glucose in urine, that's a condition. Then what happens in the loop of Henry? The descending loop of Henry reabsorbed water. So there's a difference between there's a difference between this descending loop of Henry and ascending loop of Henry. And the difference is that the descending one absorbed water. It's permeable to water. But for the ascending one, have you seen where I've written that not the thick ascending loop of Henry is impermeable to water? This is the most likely asked questions on Leno physiology MCQ. The thick ascending loop of Henry is impermeable to water. Water does not go into the thick ascending loop of Henry. Are we together? Are we together, class?
Yes.
Okay. Then after the absorption, we have secretion. So don't get everything twisted. It's as simple as drinking water. What is secretion? Secretion is there are some toxic substances which are still in the blood, which are still in the circulation. Circulation is just the bloodstream, which need to be expelled out of the body. Like the medication, when you take Panadol, there are some metabolics which need to be excreted. There are some toxic substances. So secretion is all about removing those toxic substances from the system, sending them back into the tube so that they can be expelled. So tubular secretion is a critical process that occurs in the renal tube where waste products and excess substances such as hydrogen ion, potassium, certain medication such as penicillin and organic ions are secreted into the tubular lumen. So they are in the tubular lumen so that they can be eliminated as a waste product and excess substances from the body and maintaining proper acid-base balance. Whenever there are a lot of toxic substances in blood, there is no way you can maintain acid-base balance. Are we together? So this is all about the mechanism. So tubular secretion occurs through various transport mechanisms. Know some transport mechanisms. So like here, there is potassium, there is hydrogen potassium ATPase, there is passive diffusion of certain medication. The lean tubules have a high capacity for secretion, and the transport mechanism are highly specific and regulated by hormones and other factors. This process helps to regulate the pH of blood and eliminate waste products. So just know what the process is all about. When they ask you the question, you can even lie, they even give you 6 out of 10 marks because you have knowledge of what we're talking about. Are we together?
So the question,
There's a what?
a question on tubular secretion.
Yes.
You said that the removal of toxic substances such as potassium, certain meds, organic anions
Yes.
into what? Like I didn't get
Okay. So
into what?
they are moving. They are moving from, let me show you. They are moving from this. This is the secretion, the one which is this vascular component is the secretion. This is a blood stream. So they are moving from the blood stream to go into this nephron tube so that it can finally be removed via the collecting duct. Are we clear there? Are we okay now?
Somehow no.
So I'm saying these toxic substances they need to be removed from the blood stream. From the blood stream, they need to be sent back into the nephron tube. Nephron tube, I mean that tube which is proximal converted tube, loop of Henry, Distal converted tube, collecting duct. I mean that tube, it can be anywhere where the substance need to be sent back via transport mechanisms because they are crossing membranes. So from the bloodstream being sent back to the nerve, to the kidney. Okay, you understand?
Oh, I have another question based
Yes,
on what you've said. Based
yes.
on you
Mm-hmm.
said for this, it's the removal of substances from the bloodstream,
Yes,
going towards the elimination site.
exactly.
Is isn't it that okay? I'm asking, huh?
Yes.
Is it the substances that are from the blood that are excreted, or the ones that are like the ones that were in the that were filtered, like the toxic part that were filtered? Isn't that they're removed from the bloodstream
Yes.
into the
Through the what?
so
Through
like
the
the
what?
ones that are excreted? No, like I'm asking though, which one gets excreted? Because you said this for tubular excretion, it's the things that come out from the bloodstream. So I actually thought it's the things that are
No,
filtered.
I'm talking. I thought you were talking about secretion. Excretion. These substances now are already organized from secretion. They are already organized for excretion. Now it's just removing them out of the bloodstream. I thought you were talking about secretion. Secretion is the one I was mentioning from bloodstream to the tubular nephron. Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. For excretion, this is just a final process. You know, everything now about urine, every component now about urine is already in this process. It just need to be expelled. Okay. The excess and toxic substances, metabolites, then they get to be expelled out of the system. Is everyone clear on how urine is formed? Hello? Okay. So it means that everyone is clear. So we are remaining with 5 minutes. For now, you can log out and the next 2 minutes join back. We are not coming to end, but I want to say something, then we can say we can call it a day. For now, we can leave, then join back in the next 2 minutes.